I'm Nathan Tromans and I'm the head of Birmingham Institute of Creative Arts. So my subject specialism is photography, and I've been the head of the School of Visual Communication for about 5 years. So all the courses in our school are basically designed to help students achieve careers in the creative industries or related to that. They're very much practice based. Students are engaged in developing their own practice, their own particular style, their own particular interests in their disciplines. So, for example, if you're studying illustration, you might be working towards editorial, or you might be perhaps doing illustration for animation. You might be character based. You might work within print. You might be interested in publishing. But you're very much encouraged to develop your own particular style within that, which is based around your own skills, your own abilities. The same for graphic communication. Students there will be working again towards maybe a career in the creative industries. Within photography, again, the sort of philosophy of our whole school really is about a broad range of areas of exploration, of collaboration, of interdisciplinary practice as well. That's important for all our courses. So photography, you might be more interested in a more commercial route. You might be interested in being a fashion photographer or working in advertising or editorial. You may be more interested in telling stories that are related to perhaps photojournalism or documentary photography. Or you might even be interested in the perhaps more sort of what we might call fine art areas of photography, where you're exploring perhaps your own sort of personal ideas, in a way that's perhaps less about a focus towards a client, but maybe more gallery-based work and so on. That leaves design for performance, which is really for any students that are interested in making things that relate to the entertainment industries in a very broad way. So, you might be interested in theatre. Traditionally, we would have students who are interested in theatre, but more increasingly over the last 5 or 6 years or so, students are now interested in working in television, in film, for festivals, in museums, all sorts of areas where you have to design and make something for an event. It's really important to identify what makes us different than other places, and over the years that we've been developing our courses, I think there's a number of things that we could particularly draw people's attention to. The first thing that I've talked about a lot is interdisciplinary practice. So it's not necessarily just the subjects on their own in some sort of vacuum. We're really interested in students exploring what happens between those disciplines. For example, you might be interested in illustration, and that you may be an illustrator, but you may end up working perhaps more within graphics, because that's the sort of industries that you might be more interested in. So interdisciplinary practice is important. Also collaboration. Most of our students will be involved at some stage in their careers working as part of a team. So it's important that they understand how to collaborate across disciplines with other students. I think the other thing which I think is very distinctive is our interest in developing partnerships with industry and within the cultural industries very broadly. And all of our courses have very strong links with great partners, which might include, the museums and galleries in the city, Icon, Birmingham Museum and Art Gallery, but also the V&A. We've worked with with a lot of design agencies as well, with the Association of Illustrators. I mean, all of that stuff you can see on our website, but I think those partnerships with the cultural industries and the creative industries is a very important part of the student experience in terms of live projects and so on. I think the other thing I would say that distinguishes what we do is our sort of international perspective. We run many of our courses across the world. We have opportunities for exchange, for trips abroad and so on, but I think because we teach our courses across the world, we have that international perspective. So even if students are just studying in the UK, embedded in the learning and teaching is that international perspective as well. Employability is a really important part of all of our courses, and throughout each year students will be engaged in projects and in practice that is directly related to the sort of careers that they will end up in. So you're not just learning about it in theory, you're learning about it in practice, and you are actually practicing. So that's a really important thing to say about the employability of our graduates. We expect that most people that come and study with us want to work in the creative or cultural industries. So our courses are designed to support that ambition. We also recognise that a proportion of them won't work in the creative industries for a number of reasons. It's very competitive, so that's one thing we need to consider. But also, as people journey through the course, they develop new interests, and they get a better idea of what their skills and interests are. So we make sure that all of our modules have the sort of transferable skills that will allow them to explore a wider sort of range of employment destinations. So that's really important to note as well. It's not just about training someone for the creative industries, although that's really important. To be more specific about those destinations for employment, in terms of graphic communication, we have graduates working in all the major sort of advertising agencies and design agencies you can think of. Saatchi's would be a good headline one to say, McCann Erickson, and so on. But a lot of smaller agencies, a lot of agencies within the region. Birmingham has a thriving sort of creative industries sector, so a lot of them will work in that. Many of our students will be freelance, so they will work for many different clients, and a lot of them are all household names. You can, any household name, I can bet you one of our graduates has worked on a project with them. So that's particularly relevant for photography students and illustration students. A lot of those students will be freelance when they graduate, so it's important that we teach them those skills as well. And they will work for all the big clients in advertising, in publishing, and in other areas as well. So a lot of students now it's not just about print, and it's not just about the still image. A lot of them use their skills into the moving image as well.